All right, we are live. We've got another video collaboration here as the Cleveland Cavaliers finish up their 5-game Western Conference road trip. Right now, they are 1-2 on it. Or no, I'm sorry, 1-3 because they lost to the Clippers, the Kings, and the Suns, but we beat Utah on Sunday. And to finish things up, we are heading up to the Pacific Northwest to the Moda Center to take on the Portland Trailblazers. So I've got Eric with me from Blazers Uprise. You and I have done this once before, but it's good to have you back.
Good to be back, man. It's been a while, but lots happened between our two franchises since then, and also just being a Cleveland sports fan must be interesting right now.
Yeah, you can say that again. It's definitely interesting. Yeah, I'll tell you what, when we were on that 4-game losing streak, I was getting the panic by now. I wasn't hitting it, but I was getting it out because, trust me, I knew when we were on that 16-game winning streak, I knew we weren't going to go undefeated the rest of the season because that's just not realistic. But, like, the way we lost to Orlando on Sunday, followed up with the losses to the Clippers and then the Kings and then the Suns, I was like, I'm not sure. But you look at you guys, you put yourself in a nice position. You're right on the heels of, I believe it's the Suns and the Mavericks for that last play-in tournament spot. Although I know there's a lot of criticism. Yeah, you're just behind the Suns and the Mavericks for that last play-in spot. But I know there's a lot of criticism from Portland fans about Chauncey Billups and the job he's done as your head coach.
Yeah, I mean, there's been less as the year's gone on because they went on a streak where they won 10 out of 11, pretty much out of nowhere, and then caught a lot of teams on second nights of back-to-back. They've caught a lot of teams resting star players, including a game in Cleveland recently where you guys sat Donovan Mitchell and we took you to overtime.
When we were like 10-point favorites or something.
Yeah, couldn't pull that one out. But so Chauncey, it's turned into like a mixed bag for Chauncey. He has a team option on his contract for next year. So the question is, do they bring him back under that? Has he done enough this year to sign an extension? Or are they just going to let him go and bring in a new voice in the locker room? And it's kind of similar to, it's not same record-wise. Obviously, you guys were trying to become contenders. We're trying to build from a lot lower place. But sure. But you guys made a decision to go in a new coaching direction this last offseason. And I think you can say that up until now, at least, has been a tremendously good decision by the front office. And I mean, JB's doing good in Detroit as well. So maybe worked out for both parties involved. So maybe something like that this offseason for the Blazers, where Chauncey moves on to another team and can be happy long term, and the Blazers find their Kenny Atkinson to lead them to the next step up.
It's interesting because you are right. Like, JB, he got us into that like playoff contender, but Kenny Atkinson has been that secret sauce, I guess, for lack of a better term, because he's gotten Donovan Mitchell and Darius Garland to play well together, because that was part of the issue with JB is at times, like, they couldn't be on the floor at the same time. Like, it was either Darius is on the floor or Donovan. It's not both. And it felt like Evan Mobley was kind of stuck where he could take that step back, but he wouldn't. Or I'm sorry, that step forward, but he wouldn't. Now it feels like with Kenny Atkinson as the head coach, he has taken that step forward. Like, he's willing to step out and shoot the three-pointer. I personally don't love it when he does, but whatever.
It's important in today's game, I guess, to
have
that ability to stretch the floor. Yeah,
that part is true. Was I expecting us to, have a 15-game winning streak, a 16-game winning streak, a 12-game winning streak throughout the season? No, I certainly wasn't expecting us to take this far of a jump and be the number one team in the Eastern Conference, and put ourselves in a position to have home court advantage in a Game 7 in the Eastern Conference Finals. Fingers crossed on that one, against the defending champion Boston Celtics, which you guys just lost to the Celtics in your last game. It's okay. But this game does come at an interesting time for both of us, because with you guys, you're finishing up a ridiculously long homestand where you played the Knicks, the Raptors, the Wizards, the Grizzlies, the Nuggets, the Celtics, and now us. Whereas us, we're finishing up a 5-game road trip. So it'll be interesting to see how both teams kind of approach this game from that aspect. And maybe that's something I'm reading too much into. I'm not sure.
Well, the last game of a long road trip, especially if you're going kind of from one coast to the other, is always a tough one to get. You bet on the road. And then on top of that, the Cavs have struggled a little bit too. So is it a game where they're like, okay, we got to win this one and show up, and they go back to playing the way they've been playing most of the season? Or are they just going to pack it in for this one last game and regroup at home? You never quite know how that last game of a road trip's gonna turn out.
Right. We did crush Utah in our last game in Salt Lake City, which
Utah sucks.
Yeah, but Utah has been a very difficult place for us to win.
Oh yeah, of course, yeah.
And also Portland has been a tougher place for us to win recently. So I am a little bit nervous about this game. But
what's the injury report looking like? Are you guys gonna play most of your key guys? Or
I would think so. I'm looking at ESPN right now. They have not put a spread out for this game. I would think Donovan Mitchell is out, so he'll be back on the 27th. I'm not sure.
Too bad.
Yeah. So he's going to miss both games against the Trailblazers actually this season. Mm-hmm. And then the others are just like, deep bench guys that we don't really play. Whereas for you, you've got Jeremy Grant is a game time decision. Sidi Casco, or however you say it.
Sissoko, yeah.
Sissoko, sorry.
He's a two-way guy. He doesn't really play, yeah.
He's a game time decision. DeAndre Ayton is out, and then you've been without Robert Williams all season long. So Scoot sounds like Scoot Henderson's going to be available for you, Anthony Simons. So I like what you guys are building in Portland. I like that pairing of Scoot and Anthony Simons. I think they're going to – if you guys can, get, more of a central piece, they can kind of fill in around them. But the problem – and maybe Anthony Simons can become that, main guy. I just don't know. I feel like that's the big question.
Yeah, Anthony Simons is really good. He's been one of my favorite Blazers outside of Dame the last few years, but he got good, and then he took a jump when Dame left, or like when Dame was sitting out the last year he was here. But he hasn't really taken that next jump to being the guy. And he shows at times he's a really creative scorer and stuff. He can put a team on his back and score, but it just hasn't really equated to him becoming the unquestioned guy. And it's a little tough, his situation, because they do have Scoot Henderson sitting behind him. And most Blazer fans who believe in Scoot still, they want to see him be kind of given the keys that Anthony has right now. So they're kind of stuck in a situation where he's like just good enough to where like you can't really justify giving him a lesser role or benching him or whatever for someone who's not playing as well as him. But I think pretty much everyone agrees that at some point in the future, you have to give that spot to Scoot to see if he can sink or swim in that.
Right.
And
you also have Shaedon Sharpe.
Yeah.
So that's a bit of a clog because you got Anthony Simons, who plays shooting guard, Shaedon Sharpe, who plays shooting guard, and Scoot Henderson, who's a guard. So,
so they've been with injuries, it's kind of lightened this a little bit. Sharpe's been starting lately, but for a good portion of the season, Chauncey has chosen to have Sharpe and Scoot come off the bench, and that's been a big point of contention. Is like at some point you got to develop these guys as starters, and then but do you wait till they earn that, or do you kind of force it to happen more in their development? So that's the question moving forward, is how do you manage all this? And then unlike the Cavaliers, the Blazers didn't make a single move this season at the deadline or anything to clear up any of these log jams. They have Jeremy Grant that's kind of been an incumbent at starter, and it's like, what do you do with him going into next season if he's still on the roster? And so this team has been in a situation where their like core group is showing they could be pretty good. And there might even be a guy, I mean, you mentioned Sharpe, obviously his ceiling, if he ever realizes it, is very high. So kind of hoping for something there. But he's in his third season now. So like, when is that jump going to happen?
Right.
And then Denny Avdia came over in a trade in the offseason, and he's been our best player. And we're a completely different team with him in the lineup compared to when he's missed games and stuff like that. So like we have like really good players that are right now, you can project them as maybe like, if they have a good season and we had a good record, like fringe all-star types. But like, do we have that Donovan Mitchell star type? And how are we going to get him if we're kind of fighting in that play-in range where you're not high enough to get a high draft pick, but not like good enough to actually make the playoffs or contend or anything like that.
Right.
So we're probably stuck in a situation where we're going to have to push some of our chips in a year or two and find that star through a trade, because I think we're a little too good now to get a high pick outside of getting lucky like the Hawks did in the draft last year. Or something like that.
Like you're only 2.5 out of a play-in spot, which is crazy. But that's partially because you guys have improved so much this season. I think it's also because of how hard Dallas has fallen off. Good God.
Yeah, right.
Not
that's That's a whole other topic, right?
Oh, yeah. Hey, I'm not trying to take away from what you guys have done.
How to destroy a franchise in 2 seconds, right?
Yes, exactly. Hopefully the Trailblazers don't take notice.
Right.
They didn't with Dame, though. Yeah, that was a whole weird thing. But
I know. Last time we talked was before Dame was still on the team, right?
Yeah, that's true. And now he's a Milwaukee Buck.
Right.
And you guys had Drew Holiday for like 2 seconds, and then you traded him to Boston.
Yeah. Sorry.
Yeah, really appreciate that one.
Right.
But no, you mentioned it. The last time we played you, Donovan Mitchell was out because of rest. And you took us to overtime, and we barely beat you 133-129. And it was Avdia who was the main point getter for you. He got 30. Anthony Simons, who you were talking about earlier, he got 27. Shaedon Sharp got 18. And I don't know how you say this guy's name. Tamani Kamara, he got 19.
Yeah.
The only starter who didn't get double digits for you was Donovan Clingan, the rookie out of UConn. He got 4. But, like, Scoot came off the bench and gave you 15. You got 7 from both Banton and Reith. And that's basically all you got from the rest of your from your bench, because everybody else scored either 2 or 0. Yeah. And then Grant didn't play, which you mentioned Jeremy Grant earlier. There were rumors at one point we might have tried to trade for him, but obviously we didn't. We ended up getting DeAndre Hunter.
Great move, by the way.
He's been a huge difference maker for us so far, and the main reason we did that is because we're anticipating a matchup with the Boston Celtics in the conference finals and going against Jaylen Brown and Jason Tatum.
Need those wings.
Yeah, which you guys just went up against the Celtics, as we mentioned earlier.
How do you match up with the Celtics? They're 5 out where they just spread the floor. Like, it's our defense just crumbles against them, man.
To your credit, though, you only lost by 13. 129 to 116. So,
but they didn't have Drew, Kristaps, or Jaylen Brown in that one. So.
Okay, fair enough. But you guys have done pretty well so far on this homestand. You lost to the Knicks, but you beat the Raptors, you beat the Wizards, you beat the Grizzlies, you beat the Nuggets, which is definitely impressive. So
they didn't have Jokic, though. But we just got every team without their best player recently. Like, it's crazy.
Yeah, I mean, you're getting us without Donovan Mitchell. So
yeah, exactly.
Watch, you'll pull wind out of your ass.
It doesn't seem to matter sometimes, but yeah, I don't know if you caught the end of that Knicks game, but Mikal Bridges hit a 3 at the buzzer. We're up 2 and gave up a 3-pointer at the buzzer to lose that one.
Yeah, I heard about that. That's what started that whole Mikal Bridges, Tom Thibodeau stuff. But no, you look at the Blazers, and we talked about it, like, this was supposed to be another rebuild year for you guys, where you are in a position for a high lottery pick, maybe put yourself in a place to maybe get Cooper Flagg. But
that would have been nice.
That would have been a good pairing, him and Donovan Clingan. But you're in that weird middle ground, kind of like where we were, because we got into that play-in game, and then lost to the Nets, and then lost to Trae Young. I hate talking about that one. But then in 2023, we made the jump and got all the way up to the 4 seed. and then lost to the Knicks. I'm not saying you guys are going to necessarily get on that same trajectory, but I kind of see a little bit of a comparison there. Maybe, I don't know.
Yeah. I mean, like I said, it's just you guys obviously add Donovan Mitchell to your mix of core, and that jumps you up there. So it's just, where do you find that? But yeah, going into this season, our GM said, unlike the previous year after he traded Dame, the narrative was like, oh, we're gonna be so free and play a different fun style of basketball and be just as good as we were with Dame. And then they were horrible. We won 21 games last year. The GM admitted this last offseason that they were in a rebuild and it's going to take some time and they're going to have to take a step back before they take a step forward. And then all of a sudden we come out and, our projected win total was like 21.5 or 22.5, depending on where you looked at it. So we've blown that away. As I'm sure you've blown the Cavs win total out of the way as well. Was it around 40, 48, 50? What was it? Do you remember?
I don't remember off the top of my head. I think it might have been around 48, somewhere around there.
Mm-hmm. So yeah, the Blazers Tamani Kamara has if you don't know about him, he's a legit all defensive team candidate this year. As I'm sure someone like Mobley is going to find himself on one of those teams as well.
Yes.
But Tamani is the kind of guy who, he's been lethal in defending the other team's best player. There's a long list of players that have had one of their worst games of the year when he's been guarded by him. And he leads the league in charges drawn, in offensive fouls drawn, all that kind of stuff. And he's just a pest on the floor. And then Denny's a good defender as well. And then Klingon, it kind of depends on the matchup, but he's provided some rim protection that the Blazers haven't had in previous years. And so you kind of mix it together, and then you get the games where you get good offensive output from like one or two between Simons, Scoot, and Sharp. They have a good mix of defensive talent with these guys who can score the ball. And so it's translated to them surprising a lot of teams and playing well for stretches. It also, it's still a work in progress. So they do have games where they come out and just lay an absolute dud as well.
Yeah. I don't expect that with this.
Right.
Yeah. You got the top team in the Eastern Conference coming into your gym.
Mm-hmm.
And then you play in Sacramento next game, which that's going to be a big one for you because they're one of the teams you could possibly chase down in the play-in.
Yeah.
So that's an interesting 3-game stretch for you because you go from the Celtics to us, to Sacramento.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas for us, after we play you guys, we come home, play San Antonio, then go right back out on the road on a back-to-back in Detroit, and then come home and play the Clippers.
Dude, I hate that when the schedule does that. We had one where we were on a 7-game road trip and then came home, had one day off, and then had a home game, and then the next night we're in Golden State on the road again. It's like, what the heck? It's like a schedule loss almost.
Yeah. So, yeah, I'm kind of nervous about that. Luckily, San Antonio is not does not have Victor Wembanyama or De'Aaron Fox. I shouldn't say luckily because, I know what Wemby's going through, so hopefully he gets better. But you know what I mean.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, but, I think the last time we played you in Portland, we blew you out relatively easily. I'll double check. But I don't expect that from this game. I really don't. And I think the reason is partially because we're not going to have Donovan Mitchell. That's definitely going to make a huge difference. But like we've been saying, you guys are going to be a scrappy team. So let me double check. Yeah, we didn't crush you, but we beat you 109-95. So a relatively close game last year.
Yeah.
I would expect I know we've been putting up crazy numbers this season. Most of our games end up in the 120s. So would I be surprised if we're up around there again for this game? No. I mean, hell, like we've talked about, our first matchup here in Cleveland was 133-129.
Mm-hmm.
So
did go to overtime, but
true.
The Blazers have some good defensive talent now, but it still can fall apart if you're a good patient offense. So
yeah,
I don't know, and you can still run on them a little bit. So I expect the Cavs to put up some points, and we'll just see if the Blazers are able to hang with that or not.
Yeah. So from what I remember, what we usually do when Donovan Mitchell is not playing is we'll put a Coro in there, which is a bit surprising to me. I thought we would put like Darius Garland at the point guard in that spot, and then actually no, a Coro makes sense at the shooting guard, and then put DeAndre Hunt. No, actually, this is what I meant. Put Garland at point guard, Max Strus at shooting guard, put DeAndre Hunter at the small forward, and then Mobley and Allen. But typically what we've been doing actually is putting just a Coro in there and then leaving the rest of our starting lineup, which is, like I said, that's not what I was expecting us to do. In our last game against Utah, we went with, we had our usual starting lineup, so he probably got injured in that Utah game, I'm thinking. So it'll be interesting to see what our lineup looks like moving forward.
I know you guys had a chance to possibly have home court in the finals to have better record than OKC.
Yes.
But if you look at just the East, you still have a 5-game cushion over the Celtics. Right? It's 5 games or so. Do you think part of like their recent kind of struggles is just them realizing they're kind of just need to cruise into the end of the season here, or is it something deeper than that?
Yeah, that's what it's like that. It might have been that like they were getting too much into the winning streak, and you are right, we're up 5 games on Boston. And I think it was partially that we were just getting a little too comfortable with things.
Mm-hmm.
I don't want to say we felt unbeatable because, it's the NBA. You can lose to anyone. And I get that. And it was just like the way we were losing these games, like against Orlando, like our 3-pointers were not falling. I was at that game. Mm-hmm. And at one point we were like 5 of 24, but we just kept shooting. And I'm like, stop shooting the 3-pointer. It is clearly not working. Go inside. And sometimes I wonder if we're a little too 3-pointer dependent, which that can allow, a team like Portland, for example, if you guys get the rebound and our defense isn't set, you can get out and run with guys like Scoot Henderson, Shaedon Sharpe, Anthony Simons, you guys have the ability to put up points quick on the fast break. So, and when we went against the Clippers, we had to deal with Kawhi and James Harden. We'll see if Kawhi actually stays healthy come playoff time. And with the Suns, it was Durant and Booker, but that's not really, an excuse because Phoenix has been a mess most of the season. So that's part of the reason why I'm nervous is because, we're losing to, play-in tournament teams, like in Orlando, like the Clippers, Sacramento, Phoenix. It's not like we're losing to Houston or New York, Memphis, teams like that. That's the part that was concerning. It's the same thing if by chance we lose to you guys tomorrow, I get it. We're without Donovan Mitchell, but still, you're on the outside of the play-in.
Right.
You're a middle of the road team. I'm not going to say you're a bad team, but you're not a great team either. You're okay.
Still an under 500, yeah.
Yeah. But I'm trying to give you your credit.
Right. Yeah.
So it's I want to say we're championship contenders, but it's this recent stretch does have me concerned. If that answers your question.
Yeah, it would be tough for me because, obviously going into the season, if we would have told you you'd be 57-14 at this point and have a chance to lock up the number one seed here soon in the East, I'm sure you'd be ecstatic about that, right?
For sure.
No way we're 57-14. That's awesome. I'll take it 100 times out of 100. But when you get off to as such of a good start as you did, and then any type of little losing streak or struggle through a few games, it seems so much worse than it is. But it's kind of a weird spot because even if you lose games against the Blazers, you're still most likely going to be the one seed and set yourself up for a good position in the playoffs. It's just is there something there that's causing you guys to struggle, or is it because you mentioned DeAndre Hunter, what a fantastic trade that looks like, and he's played well right throughout his tenure in Cleveland. So you would because a lot of people would point to that and be well, maybe it's not working or something. But it's obviously working. It was obviously a good trade. And you guys have the pieces to contend, I think. Just I don't know if that experience level once you get deep into the playoffs might come into play, but
that's the big concern. Is our overall lack of playoff experience. Because yes, we had the playoff experience 2 years ago with the Knicks and went to the playoffs last year and got to the conference semifinals. But is that enough, if we make it to the conference finals and are in game 7 against Boston? I don't know.
Yeah, it's a tough one.
It's a weird spot. I want to feel confident about it, but I'm not sure.
Yeah.
So I don't think I have anything else. You?
No, man. It's nice to catch up with you. Are you excited about the Guardians season starting? Are you a Guardians fan?
Yeah. We're not going to be able to watch them though because we couldn't get a TV deal.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
That the Blazers kind of fixed that this year with they got an over-the-air antenna channel going for them, but yeah, it's as a Blazer fan, we've had to deal with really crappy regional packages for a while. So man, that's tough.
Yeah.
You can't even watch your own team. And then it's probably blacked out on like MLB Pass and stuff, right? So you can't.
Something like that. I don't know. By the way, I did go to the Blazers home opener last year against Orlando.
Oh yeah.
I was in Portland because my dad and I are trying to see a game at all 30 NBA teams' arenas, and then it just so happened to line up because we were actually our original plan was just to go to Seattle for the Browns Seahawks game, and then we saw the Trailblazers are playing the Magic that same week. So let's do that. So
wow, Josh, you came and saw a game in Portland and you didn't even say hi or whatever.
Sorry.
I see.
Sorry, Eric.
It's all good.
Blazers ended up losing against Orlando. I forget what the final score was, but I know Orlando won.
Yeah.
Always good talking with you, Eric. I'll tune into your live. I'll try to tune into your live stream for the post game, but
say hi in chat if you do.
Yeah, but the thing is, the game starts at like 10 p.m. our time.
Oh, right. Yeah.
So it might be a little bit late.
Right.
But
Understandable.
I'll try to pop in. But always good talking with you. And thanks for allowing me to weasel my way into the Discord server, even though I'm not a Trailblazers fan.
You're fine, dude. Yeah, okay. We welcome all there.
All right, cool.